where to start. When I saw the video of George Floyd being brutally murdered, I wasn't really focused on the background, what was in the background, what store, where it took place. I was just watching the video, and I mean, like many others, it made me sick to my stomach. But also, it wasn't something that I haven't seen before. I know I don't want to speak for too many others, but to some degree, seeing on social media, there's this numb aspect that we're becoming. I think our age group, it's like, oh, we see these things, and yes, it's sickening, but they're happening day in and day out. They're happening over and over again, and we're just seeing it, scrolling past. But when I noticed that it happened on 30th in Chicago, I grew up on 40th in Chicago. That's the crib, for real. So right across the street from the Pee Wee Park, right across the street, right on the corner of the corner store. We were going to get hot Cheetos, honey buns, like walking to school. That hit different. It hit. I had to call my little brother right away. And it was a feeling that I really couldn't shake. I thought it was gonna kind of go away, but I just felt hot and I felt sick, nauseous for a couple of days. Just the fact that it happened right on my block. But yeah, it was bad, man.
When I first saw that video, like just like immediate anger. That's what like came to me. Just seeing it happen like multiple times, like, and I just thought, like, I was like, what if there's nobody right there to like record that? Like what would they say? Like, would just be another black man dead, like with no justice? Like, what if there's no one there? And this made me so mad because after like just some new stuff started coming out, and you would see like just hearing more stuff about it. Like it was over a supposed counterfeit $20 bill, and then that $20 bill came out to be real at the end. So he really died for nothing. And then like you just see like all the other officers with him, like they're holding him down. Like there's nothing he can do. Like there's another officer, there's civilians trying to help the man, and there's another officer like telling them get back. So it's like this man had like no chance to win in the situation. And then when we found out more about the officer, like his background and like how he had just had like dozens of conducts of like of misconduct and like just dozens of reports from like citizens like filing complaints about him. It's just like how like was this man like able to still be a policeman, like supposed to protect and serve? Like he has a history of doing these things. He's killed multiple people in the past. So it's like when you see that, it's just like, how are we letting these guys like be the people like running our country? Like they're supposed to protect and service, but like these guys who have multiple complaints from citizens, he's killed multiple people in the past. Like this was not a new thing for him. And it just made me so mad that because I just thinking about how many people, like how many policemen are just like this. And like the citizens, like just fall on deaf ears, and we're gonna have to just deal with this forever. Like that's one thing I think I want change. I want change. I want police reform. I want to see police like have more requirements to become a police officer. There's no way in America that it should take more time to become a barber than it is to become a police. There's so much power that comes with police, and I believe that policemen should have so many more requirements than they do right now.
Yeah, I think that. I was saying that comes, like you said, the training too. Like, I just saw something the other day where a black kid called because he was thinking of committing suicide, and the officer showed up on the scene, and because he had a knife, he felt threatened and just shot him and killed him right away. And I saw that there is acts that they're supposed to do. There's like suicide like protocol they're supposed to go through. They're supposed to try and talk him out of it. They're supposed to try and get him, like calm him down, like get him from not harming himself. And that's what the threat was. It was him harming himself. He didn't try to harm. His mother was there too. His mother was screaming like, don't shoot him, don't shoot him. He's trying to hurt himself. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody else. Didn't come after the officer at all. Just got shot because he had a knife. And it just makes you think of, like you said, all the other cops that just get away with things because it's not recorded, because something happened to their body cam, or even before the body cam even came out. Just how many cops are getting away with things that we just don't know. Like, we know of all these things that are coming coming to light. Like, imagine how much stuff is just in the dark. And I do come from a family that police officers are from, so like I do know there are good cops, I do know there is, but it's just gotten to a point where like we can't have that. Like, I just watched this Chris Rock thing too, and he said like certain jobs can't have bad apples. Like, people are saying like it's just a bad apple. How is you murdering an innocent man just a bad apple? Like, it's more than that. It's not just that. And he was like, he also said like you got to look at pilots. Like, what if American Airlines was like, we have a couple bad apples, we have a couple people that just like to crash. Like, you can't have that. And that's those, what, 200 passengers' lives? Like, the police is thousands of people's lives. It's thousands of people that you're supposed to protect and serve, and you can't just let anybody in. So like you said, there definitely needs to be some reforming. There definitely needs to be, I don't know, maybe some type of test too that can kind of check like social background on your like political standpoints and like how you are with Black, African Americans, minorities, other races of color. Maybe there's like a visual thing too, like how it can see like in your face how you react to a certain like instant. I don't know, there just needs to be something, because like you said, like, you need more hours to become a barber than a police officer. You have that power in your hands, and you have literally half, if not less, amount of time becoming a police officer than a barber.
I'm right with you. It's what when I saw the video, like it was heartbreaking to me. You know what I mean? I couldn't personally watch the whole video. It was just too hard. But and what's really heartbreaking though is a lot of Black men are complying and doing everything that they're supposed to do in a situation like that. You know what I mean? They have their hands behind their back, or they have them up in the air. You know, there's videos of people laying on the ground or doing everything the officer says, and the officer still proceeds with aggressive behavior or physical aggression. And it's just like what is the point? You know what I mean? Like what's really going on? Just like Chick said, like, training needs to be much more advanced, much longer. Like, it's nowhere in the world it should take longer to get a barber's license than become a police officer. You know what I mean? And another thing is, I'm sorry, man. Like, I just find this, like, you know, real hard to talk about. And but yeah, I'm sorry. Just go ahead, keep going. I apologize.
Bro, you're
I
straight.
feel you, man. It's crazy. And then, like, even like with the Rayshard Brooks incident, like, that's right down the street for me. Like, I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm from Atlanta, and like, and seeing that, it was just like, wow, like this could happen right here, like, right here. And just like seeing, just like hearing, just seeing the video with like him talking to that officer, and like how calm the conversation was. Like, it was such like a good conversation. Like, it was such a cool, calm conversation. And then it just spiraled.
He just got murdered? Like,
yeah,
bro, how? It's just like, how? And then I think something that makes me so mad is like people try to justify everything. They're like, oh my God, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that. Like, so you're telling me because he did that, he deserves to be executed? Like, no. Like I understand, like, he was drunk and he was sitting in his car, like, what do you want him to do? He's literally trying to make the good decision of not driving drunk by sleeping in his car and waiting for it to wear off. And then I understand, like, he took the dude's taser, but first of all, like, the taser was already deployed, so there's like no danger. And second of all, the taser's not going to kill you, even if you shot him with the taser. And this, third of all, the thing that makes me so like mad and like heartbroken, the dude was running away, like, bro, and you just killed him. Like, it's so crazy. Like, he was posing no threat. He was literally running away, like, out of fear. And
like, there's
killed him. And it's just
like there's people who have concealed weapons and who shoot people, who rob them, who shoot them when they're running away and get charged with murder. You know what I mean? So, or you have victims of, you have rape victims who kill their rapists and they end up getting charged with murder. Like, how is that possible? These officers get fired
And how
Hey.
can you find the wrongdoing to fire him but not charge him?
Yeah.
Right.
Like he should turn in his badge and go straight to the cell.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad, like, they keep on saying, like protesting, like, rioting out the way. But when they burned out that Wendy's, the next night they burned out that Wendy's, the next day that man was charged with 11 counts.
Because if this had never happened, I promise you that man might not have gotten fired. Because, like, it was, 12th time?
Right.
It just was a reoccurring thing. Like, he just would have had his job. Nothing would have happened. They would have just moved on with life. Just, okay.
Just take someone's life and you just move on with yours. Like, I don't understand. Yeah. So I understand, like where's the human conscience of these police officers? Like, how can you see the stuff going on in the world? Like, I know they see these videos of other cops, like, killing black people. And then they do the same thing. Like, in that situation, like how is there no, like, human conscience in your brain to be like, okay, let me try to de-escalate the situation instead of saying, oh, let me go down the route that those officers went down. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. And on top of that, too, really two things. One, it's like, okay, Trayvon talked about if there wasn't a revolt of some sort or some type of response by citizens, then the officers probably wouldn't have been charged.
Yep.
I mean, definitely wouldn't have been charged, but probably wouldn't even been fired. And same with the George Floyd case and many others. But it's like, okay, we get them fired, or not we get them, but they are fired, rightfully so, and charged. But that only happened because people are speaking up. That shows, to me, that's evidence right then and there that that's a systemic. The system is broken to some degree because accountability, we all know about accountability. You don't show up here, you got to be here, you got to do this. This is the way we do things around here. If that doesn't happen, you're out of here. But that's the system we're used to. But the system they're used to, if I do this, if I just get a little misconduct, I'll be straight. I'll be all right. And it's like, okay, so that's the system, that's the culture too that they're building and that we're used to, that we build. And then also on top of that too, just not want to go back too far, but talking about a test, more testing, more advanced, more intentional training. This idea of implicit bias, like Trayvon said, how certain police officers are in training, respond to seeing a white male compared to a black male, him versus her. Well, how about some implicit bias training, understanding that, okay, I'm not racist. Nobody, is necessarily calling you racist, but there's beliefs that we have been instilled or taught through school, through our families, through just social media, that they are ignorant and racist. So when you see a black man, you think, oh, dangerous. If he's taller than you, if he has tattoos, oh, dangerous. Like, being able to test and also teach those things.
Like, I can be walking down the street in my own neighborhood, like I live like 20 minutes out of Ann Arbor. So it's like a pretty, suburbs, cornfields, stuff like that. And I'd be walking around my neighborhood and somebody who lives there riding their bike or walking, when we're crossing paths, they're across the street, go walk on the sidewalk. And I'm like, I live here, what's up?
Yeah. And Chi, you said you're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I went to Atlanta maybe last year, and I was with my friend Daniel. Do you know Daniel? Maybe Imadar Bebe.
Yeah. He has brother Josh.
Yeah. Josh is at Illinois too. But yeah, I was out there with them, and we were walking in Chick-fil-A. And we're in the parking lot walking, and there's a white lady in her car, and she looks up and sees both of us, and she just locks her door, like right in front of us, goes here and like locks her door, and just looks at us the whole time while we walk by her. It's just, it's little things like that. Like, what am I doing? I'm going to Chick-fil-A. Like, I'm not doing nothing to you.
Bro, I remember I went to my own neighborhood pool. Bro, I've lived in this neighborhood. This is probably when I was like 15. So I was in this neighborhood for about 9 years at this time. And I was taking my little cousin to go swim. And I walk in there and like the white lady who's like I guess like overseeing like everything that's happening right there, like the clubhouse. The first thing to ask me is like, do you live here? I'm like, bro, I probably lived here longer than you. I'm just like, dang. She starts asking me for all my information and stuff. I'm just like, okay, guys, we're just gonna go home. Like today's not the day. We're gonna go to the pool because like, just like seeing that stuff is crazy.
We're programmed, or I think I have been programmed. I've been taught, be compliant, make sure you're extra careful. You know what I'm saying? And answer any questions that are asked. But why would you even have to answer them questions anyways?
Right.
And then that's you though. That's you being or not being compliant. That's you resisting, and that's you being guilty. That's this like, what is that though?
Yeah.
The system like we live in is like, if you aren't compliant because there's someone's racial profiling you first, and then you are innocent. You know you're innocent, but you're ultimately the perpetrator. Like,
yeah. The system, we're guilty until proven innocent.
Exactly.
Like those videos when you see, you know, people in their cars or standing by their cars, they like, what am I being arrested for? And the officer is not telling him. He's just like, bro, give me your ID.
He's like, you're under arrest. And he's like, what you mean? He's like, now you're resisting arrest. And it's like, bro, there's no winning, bro. Like, there's no winning. Like, there's nothing you can do.
I don't know about y'all, but every time I'm driving and I see a cop, my heart just dropped to my ass.
Bruh, that's one thing. Like, I asked my white friends this. I was like, when you guys see a cop, I was like, what do you guys think?
What do you think?
Do y'all think like friend? And they're like, yeah. It's like, I mean, as long as I know I'm not doing anything bad, like, I don't have any fear of them. And I asked my black friends, the first thing they say is like, bro, my heart just sink. Like, it's like, I see a cop, I'm looking in my rearview mirror, see he's following me.
I'm straight. I'm like looking, trying to see if he U-turns and everything. Like, that feeling sucks. It's just things we have to do that people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the fear of that.
Yeah, like
especially having that cop right up in your window. You know what I mean? Like standing over you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta reach and get your registration, anything. Right. You know what I mean? He telling you to get your registration. You like, well, can I reach and get it?
It's just like an immediate stress, bro. Like, it's a terrible situation, I swear.
I can't imagine what Chig and Raymond, what y'all going through. They happening right in y'all neighborhood.
Right. Like y'all saw the video of the girl and the boy in Atlanta. They got tased by the cop,
taking out their car and stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy, because there was the white girl that was right in front of them, waving to the camera. And I was like, bro, this is literally like the clearest picture of white privilege I've ever seen in my life. And I was just thinking about, I was like, dang. I was like, so what if these cars were reversed? Would they even done anything to her? Yeah. I'm just like, wow. And like they've been on every show, Good Morning America. They've been on everything. Like they're suing, like all those cops. Like that's why I'm happy. Like those cops got fired. Like stuff is changing. I think. Like I really think like it's gonna start getting better. Like a lot of these cops are not getting away with like stuff anymore. Like yeah. I mean, we might have to keep protesting, but like that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do.
I think right now really just is the best time. I just feel like in the past there's been no change, so it's kind of people are just like, well, if I say something, it ain't even gonna really matter, so I might as well just stay out of it, because it could affect the fans, it could affect your potential draft stock, it could affect a whole lot of things. And if there was no change happening, it's kind of like, well, then why do it? Like, it's kind of just a waste of time. But now stuff is actually starting to happen, so I think now is the time that we all really need to do it. And we just got to realize, like, we're African American, we're black men before we're athletes. Like, we're going to be athletes for a short amount of our time, but we're going to be black for our whole lives. So it's just something that we have to stand for, and something we have to like stick out, ride out. And yeah, social media is huge. We just got to keep trying to teach the white people what it is. They will never understand. They will never have the fears that we have. They'll never get it, but we just got to try and tell it to them, and they got to be willing to listen too. But I think we are going in a little bit of a positive ascension, and we can't stop now, or it's just going to go right back to how it was. We just got to keep going. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep fighting for it, or it's just going to go back to the way it was. And as college athletes, I think we have one of the biggest platforms, especially as football athletes. Everybody loves college football. Everybody watches us. Everybody loves college athletes. And it's the perfect platform to show these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it was like, honestly, like, it was like scary in the past, like, to even like think about, like, speaking up about this stuff. It was like around the time I was coming into college, like, that's the time like Kaepernick was like, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So like seeing how like the NFL like just like deleted him and like for like speaking out, it's just like, dang, like what would they do to a college athlete? Like they're probably like get on their board, like you're never becoming an NFL player if you ever try to speak out about anything. And it's just crazy. Like when I started speaking out, when like the George Floyd stuff happened, I just got enraged. I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna speak my mind. And then like people DMing me on Twitter saying, it's like, you need to chill out, man. You could hurt your draft stock. And I thought about it. I really just sat there and thought about it. I was like, why would speaking out about racial injustices make me a less preferable player for an NFL football team? Yeah. That just made me think like the system of, first of all, the NCAA and then the system of NFL. I'm thinking like, okay, so those must be like racist systems. When I think about it, I'm like, who is dominating these sports? It's us, right? Like if we wanted to, like we can really do anything. Like if we all decided, we're just all gonna speak up, like what are they gonna do? Not draft us all?
Yeah. Or just all stop playing. What are
they gonna do? Like I guarantee, like that's why I always thought about it's impossible, but like if we really wanted like stuff to happen in the NCAA, we can all be like, it's like a nationwide strike for football. Then they would listen to everything we had to say. If we wanted to get paid, they'll be like, okay, fine. Just nationwide strike, just no football. Like they would literally have to listen to us because like we are the players. Without us, like they're nothing. So it's like, how can speaking out about stuff make us lesser? Like it just like mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
But that also goes to show, who's at the top. You know what I mean? Who's at the top and who's, how they really feeling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you said, like how can something like that hurt your draft stock? They don't really do nothing for you, but it show who they are. You know what I mean? It show what type of character, what type of character they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I know they talk about like don't talk about any political issues. Like this isn't a political issue. This is like an issue that we are facing within our own kind for the past 400 plus years. Like it's not something we can just be quiet about. It's not something that we can just not say. And it's like I don't even want to say, but for that shut up and dribble, it's like they just see us as athletes. That's all it is. Like when I came from SC, I graduated from USC, and like over there, it's a bunch of rich white people, and like it's not a lot of African Americans. And like the first couple times I met someone, the first thing they said is like, "What sport do you play? Like, what do you do? Like, you have to play something to be here. Like, it's like I can't just be a normal black student and come to SC. I can't get good grades. I can't do all this stuff. Like, I graduated from SC in 3 years. I got my degree in 3 years. Like, who are you to tell me, like, what sport do you play? Like, that's right. There's just a lot of wrong stuff out there, and people just need to really be educated.
Using that social media platform too, it's like for me, I've just been, especially like my social media, probably just slightly different than a lot of people's. Just the fact that the murder of George Floyd was right on the doorstep. It's like I'm seeing nightly Snapchats, nightly Instagram lives, Facebooks of people protesting, of people of just everything, the events taking place. So it's flooded with that as well. But I've been trying to obviously, post critical, pick and choose what I'm posting, because now it's becoming normalized or politically correct for people to repost what seems to be justice or new statements or like new teachings, and I don't want to flood my entire, for example, Instagram story like with a bunch of stuff where people are just clicking through it all. Because that's also how I feel like some people are clicking through it. But also it's like I can't even sit there and think about that. Really, because at the end of the day, I need to do what I control what I control. Like we're told day in and day out, but controlling what I control. Trying to teach, trying to help teach. Being not only an advocate for myself, but advocate for my brothers. Like it's what it is. But on top of that, I had the privilege of having a conversation with some of the people from our administration, and similar to what I told them, I've been telling other people. My white allies or white people were reaching out to me saying, Ramad, what can we do? Ramad, what do we need to change? And it's like, okay, one, I don't have all the answers, nor does anybody. Two, just because I'm black, just because I'm black doesn't mean I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. Because even within my blackness, I know I'm mixed, black and Asian. Bro, I'm not the darkest black dude out there. So I have light passing. I don't have to deal with certain things. That's a privilege of mine. So I'm telling them, like, bro, all these experiences are not the same either. So you need to get that through your head. But lastly, and most important, Tommy, let's just call you Tommy. Tommy, if you went home and you wanted to cook a meal for your family, you didn't know how to cook that meal, but you knew you wanted it. You knew exactly, man. You were savoring. You was feeding for it all week, but you don't know how to cook it. What you gonna do? Use your resources. Look it up on Google. Look up the recipe. Cookbook. Ask people that have cooked it before and ask them their experience. You know, what has your experience been? You're gonna use your resources to learn, bro, because you want it, not because it's the right thing to do. You're not just gonna go start asking people for random recipes. No, you want this meal, you want it that bad, you're gonna figure out how to do it. And you're gonna teach yourself, educate yourself. So I've been telling people, whether it's my Instagram story, Twitter, bro, you gotta want to educate yourself, and it's on you. And then through educating, then we can have a conversation about action. Then we can have a conversation about next steps. But if you're sitting here trying to ask me for the answer, you're not learning nothing. You're just, it's it's the politically correct thing to do. It's just the trend right now. You know, everybody's saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Like, you don't even know what that means. Social media has been dangerous to me, but also making sure that I'm using it as a tool. Like you said, like everybody said, like we got a big platform.
Yeah, I was stressing the same thing to my teammates. You know, encouraging them to speak out. You know what I mean? To speak out and use their voice. You know, we are D1 football players here. Like, we have a platform. You know, people will listen to us, and we stand together. And when we speak on it, you know what I mean? People gonna listen.
I'm happy, but I'm kind of not happy at the same time, just because it's a little early. You gotta want to do it. Like right now, they're kind of doing it because we're forcing them to. Everything we're doing is forcing them to seek justice. Like, again, if none of this happened, they would have just moved on with it. It would have just been another thing. Like, yeah, it is a positive thing that they're doing it, but we got to get to a point to where they want to do it, and they're not just doing it because we're in their ear. We're forcing them to do it.
There's a lot of these different reforms or initiatives that definitely will help. And I'm also feeling what Trayvon's feeling. Like, I mean, I feel good about it, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, what's it gonna be in 6 months? Where is everybody gonna be at in 6 months? Are we still gonna have? Because ideally, realistically or theoretically, we should have even more people, standing, banding together, us having more conversations. But maybe, and it's just a lack of trust, based on the things that have happened in the past. But ultimately, what I was getting to is I like to see more accountability, man. Like, obviously, the system itself, we can only do so much, overnight about big reforms like defunding the police, which is happening across the nation, happening in LA, happening in Minnesota. But it's like accountability, bro. You're saying one thing, people are not living up to those words. Consequences are clear for this group, so they must be clear for this group as well, period. And that, I mean, in terms of an incremental change, I feel like accountability is something that can be implemented overnight.
Yeah, I agree with all y'all. Yeah, I mean, like I'm happy because some things are being changed, but I mean, like y'all said, like 6 months, a year, 5 years, even 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, what is it really going to look like? You know what I mean? Like, is our kids going to be fighting for the same thing? You know, so, because, I mean, we still here fighting for the same stuff our grandparents was fighting for, you know?
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
man, like people are still getting hung.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
It's been
That's the
20
crazy
days.
part.
20 days since George Floyd, and there's still been 120 killings.
Yeah.
120, like, bro, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy.
I had a teammate. He's from Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. He texts us. He texts a group chat we have, and he just told us like, man, you know, y'all be safe out here because apparently like I think it was this morning or something. He had said they had found somebody hung or something like around this neighborhood, and or it might have been Houston. I know it's one of my teammates. They had texted us, and I was just like how is this like going on? You know what I mean? Like I feel like every day like I wake up to a person who looks just like me, you know, being killed or you know something's happening to them. You know, police brutality, anything.
They keep on saying it's like a suicide.
Yeah,
Like there's no black man in America that is hanging himself from a tree.
exactly.
Right now, too. In
Like
this
no,
moment.
like no, bro. Like no one's buying that. Like they need to open up investigations on these things. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if they can't do stuff like that, like how can we ever like trust? Like how can we trust them? Like as young black men, like how can we trust them if they won't even like try to help us or they're gonna try to like push stuff under the rug? Like how can we trust them? Like if they're not gonna like go out their way to like try to help us.
Yeah. Just a lot of wrong things. Like it's just so wrong. People are innocently in their car. People are innocently on the street just walking, doing nothing. No weapon, no threat, no nothing. Just shot, killed.
Bro, Breonna Taylor was asleep in her home.
In her room, in her own
In her home.
What about that cop that broke into that one dude's house and said she thought it was her house?
Oh yeah.
Yes. And then they found out that they dated in the past. So it's like there's some stuff going on in that case. Oh my God, there's so many cases, bro. You just like you look at it and just like, dude, this is insane. Like how they're treating black people in this country. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. What do you guys think about like during season in terms of like during games? Do you think we will see people kneeling? Do you think NCAA will try and stop people from kneeling if it happens? Like, what do y'all think about that?
I don't think NCAA is stopping nobody from kneeling, bro. I think that's falling into the category of that's okay to do. Oh, we gotta let them do that. Okay, let's all do that. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the thing. Like whatever normal is normal. You can go ahead and do it. Taking a knee right now. Kaepernick lost whole career over it. You know, many other people have suffered consequences from doing that when it wasn't normal. But now that it's normal, it's okay. And like for me, I'm thinking, okay, how can we continue to what action can I take with my teammates, with y'all, Big Ten, with the rest of the nation, potentially, of something not being normal? So we continue for people to listen. Because until it is taking a knee when no one else is taking a knee, until it's that contrast, like I don't think people are really I think that people are going to be okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, just like you said, like, oh, like, yeah, like, we'll let them do that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, all of our universities, like, they not going to keep us from, you know, voicing our opinion, speaking out, you know what I mean? But are they going to stand with us, though? That's the real question.
Mm-hmm. There just needs to be some action needs to be done. We can't just keep talking about it. It's just going to stay here or even go back to where it was. So I don't know. Maybe there is something we can do as college athletes as this. Maybe there's something we can all come up with to do as a whole, even if it's just Big Ten, as all of us. Maybe there's something we can do. Maybe it's like, shoot, when we start the games, we wait 8 minutes and 46 seconds before we even start playing. Something like, I just feel like there's something we can do that'll get them to listen. and that won't affect all of us. If all of us do it, they can't do nothing. Like, what they gonna do?
Not only that, it's gonna be that much more powerful, especially if all of us do it.
Yeah.
We all worried about similar stuff, whether it's the league or whether it's after football. If we're able to put the football aside ultimately and say this is more important, y'all listen, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, bro. That's why we need to link outside the meeting, like, after
For real.
My God.